Hello, Mariah Jones. Now only have two audience members today, RJ and Shawnee. Thank you, thank you. So I know that the last time we were all here, there was many more of us, but that doesn't mean we're not going to have a good time. And I know that the last time we were all together, I shared a story about me, myself, and delicious oranges. So it only makes sense that I teach you all how to make my favorite orange spice cake, which is full of rich and robust flavors such as cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, vanilla. But first, I want to tell y'all that I started baking when I was 12 years old. I did my first wedding cake when I was 16, and then I did 1 year of pastry at Santa Barbara City College. So we're gonna get started. So what I have here, the first step in making the cake is one, we want to wash our hands, which we already did. Two, one of my chefs always taught me that the first thing you want to do is always make sure that your oven is preheated and your pans are ready to go. So here I have candied oranges, which I made earlier today. I used a 1 to 1 to 1 ratio of water, sugar, and orange juice. I brought that to a simmer. Then I put the orange slices into that 1 to 1 to 1 ratio and I let them simmer for 2 to 3 minutes. And then I layered them on top of a parchment paper. What I have in here, we're going to do next is we're going to cream our butter and our sugars together. So what I like to do is I like to add my butter first by itself and I cream it until it turns from that yellow to very pale yellow color, almost sometimes white. And then I add my sugars and I cream that all together. And like boiling water and sugar, you really want the sugars to dissolve. You don't want it to be crunchy. Then after that, we're going to add 1 egg at a time. And we're going to be sure not to overmix because, well, we want a dense crumb, but we don't want a hockey puck. So after that, we will then add our vanilla, our milk with vinegar in it, and our orange zest. Do y'all know what vinegar does in cake? So Sean does. RJ doesn't. So I will explain to RJ. But vinegar actually helps the cake rise. So it will interact with the baking soda and it causes all of those bubbles that you'll see in a cake. So it will help the cake be light and fluffy. But because I use butter, the butter it will also help the cake be dense. So it'll be like a dense but light cake, which is my favorite. Oh, yeah. Yes. So now, after that, we are going to go ahead and add in our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients. So in here, I have 2 3/4 cups of flour, all just regular all purpose flour, baking soda, baking powder, all of the spices, cinnamon, cardamom, nutmeg, and salt. We always want salt. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in half of this mixture at once. I'm going to get that going. There we go. And if y'all want to come take a quick look and see how it goes from curdled to blended, please do so. All right. And then we're going to finish adding in the rest. I only like to, make a little bit of a mess. There we go. I only like to mix this until it's just combined because, again, we don't want to overmix our cake, right? Because we don't want it to be dense. So once all of the flour starts to dissolve a little bit, I'm going to stop that and we're going to release it. You can go ahead and take your seats again if you want. Thank you. We always like to try to get as much of that off as we can. Another thing I learned in culinary school is to always clean up after yourselves. So after we get most of the flour incorporated, I always like to use a cake spatula to just fold the ingredients over each other so I don't overmix the cake. And at this point, if you've done everything properly, your batter should be light, airy, and fluffy. So now we are going to go ahead and take our pans and we are going to layer this in here. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't fill your pan up too much. So you want to fill it up about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way, making sure to leave some space at the top so your cake doesn't overflow and cause a horrific mess in your oven. So we're just going to go ahead and layer that over our oranges. And again, our oven is already preheated, just waiting to be loaded with some cake. This one makes a little bit of extra batter, so I always like to just make an extra cake to put in the freezer. All right. So 3/4 of the way, this is probably like 2/3, 3/4. And we're just gonna pop these little babies in the oven. We like to preheat our oven so when we open the doors for a 350-degree oven and it releases some of that heat, your oven is still going to be at the temperature that you need your cakes to be baked at. So what I have here are some pre-baked cakes that I made this morning. This is that 1:1 ratio of the sugar, water, and orange juice that I had from earlier. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and make sure our cakes stay nice and moist with a little bit of sugar water. And we're just gonna lay that on top, however much or however little you prefer. I like to put a lot on this one because this one is gonna go into the freezer. This one, however, we are going to enjoy. So there we go. All right. And now what I have here is a 12-inch piping bag, but not everybody has these at home, I understand. So you can always use a Ziploc if you prefer, or you can just lather this right on top with a little cake spatula. I just prefer to use this because I enjoy having the control of where the icing goes and where the drips are going to take place on top of the cake. You can do a cute little design, whatever you prefer. Here we go. Let's see. So now we're going to go ahead and give this a little cut, and we are going to taste it together. I do hope that you all try this recipe at home. Now come enjoy a little piece with me. Ooh. There we go. There you are. You are welcome. Ooh, I cut myself a really large piece. All right.
It smells so good.
There you go.
Thank you.
There you are. Let's give this a nice little try. Cheers.
Cheers. This is good.
Thank you.
This is really good.
Yeah.
Thank you. You want to come into the camera so she can see both of you?
Oh.
This is really good.
Really good.
Thanks, y'all.